In the endless expanse of the Pacific Ocean, where the waves merge with the horizon, the Sea Star Marine Animal Rescue Team is always ready to come to the aid of the inhabitants of the deep. Their mission is to protect marine life, and every distress signal makes their hearts beat faster. Early one morning, their base received an alarming message. A humpback whale covered in a thick layer of shells was entangled near ice floes off the coast of Alaska. The animal looked exhausted. Its movements were sluggish, and the water around it was tinged with pink, a sign of bleeding wounds. The team, led by experienced Captain Anna, immediately gathered on board the Ocean Guardian. Anna, a woman with a strong character and a deep sense of responsibility for marine creatures, gave the order to prepare everything necessary: medical equipment, cranes, special harnesses, and tools for removing shells. On board were key crew members: Lisa, a veterinarian with 10 years of experience working with marine mammals; Nick, an engineer capable of repairing or inventing any device on the fly; and young intern Sophia, whose energy and enthusiasm inspired everyone. The vessel cut through the cold waves and headed for the coordinates where the whale had been spotted. The wind whipped their faces, and the salty air permeated everything around them. Anna stood on the bridge, scanning the horizon intently through her binoculars. "We have to make it in time," she said quietly. "Every minute counts." When the ship approached the location, the crew saw a humpback whale. Its once majestic body looked emaciated. Its back and sides were covered with gray-black shell growths that, like armor, restricted its movements. The whale's eyes, usually full of life, were now dull, and its breathing was heavy and labored. The water around it was slightly foamy, and a thin red haze confirmed the worst fears. The wounds on its skin were bleeding. Anna ordered the engine speed to be reduced to a minimum so as not to scare the whale, and to keep the ship stable on the waves. Sophia put on a wetsuit and lowered a hydrophone into the water to record the sounds made by the whale. The rapid, uneven heartbeat she heard through her headphones made her pale. "It's stressed," she reported. "We need to act quickly." Lisa assessed the situation and began to prepare a medical kit: antiseptics, ointments, bandages, and syringes with nutrient solution. Meanwhile, Nick checked the crane and developed a plan to lift the whale onto the deck. Lifting it directly by the body was impossible. Shells deeply embedded in the skin could aggravate the wound. The team decided to use special buoys to distribute the weight and minimize pressure on the damaged areas. "We have to be extremely careful," said Lisa, checking the instruments. "If the whale starts to panic, we could lose control." Nick nodded, adjusting the tension on the cables. "I'll make sure the crane runs smoothly, like clockwork," he assured her. Anna, watching the whale through her binoculars, noticed that its movements had slowed even more. She knew that time was short, but there was no point in rushing. "Sophia," she called, "keep an eye on its reactions. If it starts to get nervous, we'll stop." When everything was ready, the team began the operation. The crane slowly lowered the harness into the water, and Nick and Sophia, coordinating their actions, carefully brought it under the whale's body. Anna watched every movement closely, ready to give the command to stop at any moment. The whale, as if sensing that people had come to its aid, behaved surprisingly calmly. Its eyes, though tired, no longer expressed panic. Slowly but surely, the crane began to lift the whale's massive body. Water dripped from its sides, revealing a horrific sight. Shells covered its back, head and tail forming a thick crust. Some were the size of a fist, others were small but sharp as blades. The team held their breath until the whale was on deck, where it was laid on soft mats to minimize discomfort. Lisa and Sophia immediately set to work. Armed with special knives for removing shells, they carefully cut off the growths, trying not to touch the inflamed skin. The whale trembled slightly when the blade touched particularly sensitive areas, but remained motionless, emitting only faint, low sounds, similar to moans. Nick, standing nearby, directed a stream of warm water from a hose, washing away the removed barnacles and soothing the whale's skin. "Be careful," Lisa reminded her. "Some of the wounds are already infected." She pointed to the red, swollen areas of skin, where the shells had grown and particularly deep. Despite her youth, Sophia worked with remarkable precision, her hands trembling only from the cold, not from fear. "We'll get through this," she whispered, as if talking to the whale. "You'll be okay." Anna monitored the whale's condition on a portable monitor, checking its breathing and pulse. The data showed that the whale was still weak, but its condition had stabilized. "He's holding on," she told the team. "Keep going." Once most of the shells had been removed, Lisa began treating the wounds. She carefully washed the affected areas with antiseptic, applied healing ointment, and put on temporary protective bandages. Some of the wounds were deep, with signs of infection. So Lisa decided to give the whale antibiotics through an IV, which Sophia helped set up. The nutrient solutions entering the whale's body were supposed to help him regain his strength, as he was unable to eat properly due to the shell. The team worked non-stop, despite the cold wind blowing in from the sea. The salty air mixed with the smell of medicine and the whale's wet skin. Nick periodically checked the equipment to make sure everything was working properly. "This crane is my masterpiece," he joked, trying to lighten the tense atmosphere. It could lift a whale or an iceberg. After several hours of intense work, the team removed almost all of the shells. The whale's skin, though scarred, began to look alive. His eyes, now clearer, seemed to sparkle with hope. Anna gave the order for a final examination. Lisa checked the main wounds, making sure they were treated and protected. Sophia removed the IV, and Mick prepared the crane to lower the whale back into the water. Slowly and carefully, the whale was lowered into the cold waves. The water enveloped its body, washing away the remnants of tension. The team stood still, watching the animal's reaction. Suddenly, the whale moved slightly, its tail twitched, and it released a powerful fountain of water, a characteristic gesture of humpback whales, as if greeting the world. The crew burst into joyful exclamations. "He's alive! He made it!" Sophia shouted, unable to hold back her tears. The whale circled the ship several times, its movements becoming more confident. Then, as if saying goodbye, it dived and disappeared into the depths of the ocean, leaving only a slight ripple on the water behind it. The Sea Star team stood on the deck, watching the whale's receding trail. The remains of shells, scattered across the deck, were a reminder of what they had been through. Anna took several photos to document the mission, while Lisa began compiling a report on the whale's health. Mick and Sophia packed up the equipment, exchanging jokes and feeling a sense of accomplishment. "We gave him a second chance," Anna said, looking at the horizon. "But this is just one story. The ocean is full of those who need our help." Her words reminded the team that their work was not just about saving one animal, but about fighting to preserve an entire ecosystem. When the ship turned around and headed back to base, every member of the crew felt warmth in their hearts. The cold wind no longer seemed so harsh, nor the salty air so sharp. They knew that their efforts had given the humpback whale a new lease on life, and that feeling was more valuable than any award. This story is just one of many that the Sea Star team experiences in its mission. Protecting the ocean means protecting the home of thousands of creatures, and every whale, dolphin, or turtle that is saved becomes a symbol of hope. Friends, if this story touched your hearts, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to support our work and learn more about ocean life. Thank you for reading this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to share it and support our work so that we can tell even more stories about animal rescue.